Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
The tripartite mechanism of Libya's neighbors has adopted a joint statement emphasizing the importance of safeguarding the interests of the brotherly Libyan people by preserving their capabilities and assets and reaching a consensus among all Libyan parties. And the Moroccan authorities have prevented Freedom March members from completing their journey to Ghnitra prison. And over 30 Palestinians have been killed after the Israel-occupying soldiers today opened fire at crowds of people who were on their way to an aid distribution center west of Rafah in the southern part of Gaza. And those were the major developments. Now the full news edition. I'm Asya Bakar. Good afternoon. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has sent a message of condolences to the President of Nigeria, Mr. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, following the floods that affected parts of his country, killing dozens of people and injuring several others. Floods affected the center of Niger State, claiming dozens of lives and several injuries and causing significant material damage. President Tebboune expressed sympathy with the government and people of Nigeria and with the families of the victims on behalf of the people and government of Algeria. The Minister of National Education, Mohamed Saghir Sadawi, has given the official kickoff of the middle school final exams for the 2024-2025 school year from the southern province of Gardaya. Over 3 days, the 826,970 candidates will take the final exams in 10 subjects distributed across 3,070 examination centers under the supervision of more than 240,000 supervisors. You still listen to Radio Algeria International, and the National Office of Examinations and Competitions assured that all necessary measures and arrangements for the organization of the June 2025 middle school final exams session have been taken to ensure the smooth running of the exams under the best possible conditions. And now the Minister of State in charge of Foreign Affairs, National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, has participated to the ministerial meeting of the tripartite mechanism of Libya's neighbors in Cairo, along with his Egyptian and Tunisian counterparts, Mr. Badr Abdelati and Mr. Mohammed Ali Al-Nafti, respectively. Mariam Barshi has the details.
The three ministers held thoughtful consultation and in-depth discussions on the latest developments of the situation in Libya and ways and means to advance the political process in the sister country, notably through support for efforts led under the aegis of the United Nations. The three neighboring countries, namely Algeria, Egypt and Tunisia, are the most affected by the crisis in Libya, the most aware of its complexity, and the most concerned with achieving a rapid and definitive resolution to the Libyan crisis. Tripartite mechanism meeting culminated in the adoption of a joint statement emphasizing the importance of safeguarding the interests of the brotherly Libyan people by preserving their capabilities and assets and reaching a consensus among all Libyan parties under the aegis of the United Nations and with the support of neighboring countries with a view to ending the division, unifying the political and military institutions and organizing legislative and presidential elections. The Algerian, Egyptian and Tunisian foreign ministers also reaffirmed that the political process in the country must remain purely Libyan, reiterating their rejection of any form of foreign interference in the Libyan affairs and calling for the withdrawal of all foreign forces and mercenaries from the country. The minister also agreed to continue coordination and consultation between the three countries and with the United Nations ahead of the next meeting to be held soon in Algiers.
And now the Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Mr. Brahim Boghali, has hailed Algeria's continued efforts to achieve further gains for its children. And Mariam Barshi again.
Mr. Boghali stressed that in Algeria, World Children's Day is an indicator for assessing achievements for this group, to which our country continues to grant new benefits day after day. On the occasion, he also recalled the suffering of Palestinian children, stating that it pains us to see the powerful world stand by, while the right to life of children in Palestine is violated because any aggression perpetrated against children is an act of cruelty and cowardice, and the perpetrators must not escape punishment under any circumstances. Earlier, the Speaker of the Council of the Nation, Mr. Azouz Nasri, for his part, affirmed Algeria's pride at the achievements made in guaranteeing care, protection and security for future generations on the eve of World Children's Day celebrated today. Mr. Nasri said that on the World Children's Day, we are proud of Algeria's progress in caring for, protecting and ensuring the safety of future generations, and our hearts are broken by the Israeli massacres perpetrated against children in Palestine.
You're still listening to Radio Algeria International. The Moroccan authorities have detained members of the Freedom March and prevented them from continuing their journey to Kenitra prison, where the prisoners of Gdei Mizik are held. In a press statement, Ms. Claude Mangin said that the delegation was forced to turn back after Moroccan authorities refused to allow them to proceed to Kenitra prison. Ms. Mangin explained that the Moroccan authorities did not provide them with the usual deportation documents or justify their decision as its standard procedure. She noted that the delegation was not even permitted to disembark from the ship until their return to Algeciras. The spokesperson added the delegation, which included 13 individuals, was surrounded by Moroccan police in plain clothes. Among them were French and Spanish elected officials who witnessed the events and took photos of the dozens of Moroccan police officers who had been on board the ship since its departure from Spain to Tangier. It's worth noting that the Freedom March for Sahrawi political prisoners in Moroccan jails began on March 30th from Ivry-sur-Seine, passing through several French and Spanish cities with the aim of reaching Kenitra prison to demand the release of all Sahrawi political prisoners unjustly detained in the prisons of the occupying Moroccan state. To the Middle East now, over 30 Palestinians were killed after the Israeli occupying soldiers today opened fire at crowds of people who were on their way to an aid distribution center west of Rafah in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. Later on, another humanitarian aid site was also hit by Israeli airstrikes in the central part of the enclave. The Israeli attacks were denounced by the head of the Palestinian National Council as horrifying war crimes carried out against starving Palestinians, while insisting that the deliberate use of famine is tantamount to mass murders. He was quoted by the news agency Wafa as saying that drawing starving Palestinians toward a distribution center located in an area under the Israeli army's control before coming under fire depicted the Israeli occupying authorities' unprecedented brutality and methodological plans. This came as the head of the Palestinian Relief Society affirmed that the enclave had become a place of death and stress, that the conditions inside hospitals had seriously deteriorated on account of the relentless Israeli strikes. He recalled the intensity of the bombardments increased in recent days and famine rose to reach 100% in the enclave, subjected to a blockade imposed by the Israeli occupying authorities. You still listen to Radio Algeria International, and now at least 12 Ukrainian soldiers were killed and more than 60 others wounded in a Russian missile strike on the training ground where they were practicing. Ukrainian president announced that a Ukrainian delegation led by his defense minister would be in Istanbul on Monday for talks with Russia. And now in Nigeria, 151 people have been killed in the devastating floods triggered by heavy rainfall in Nigeria's central state of Niger. And Mariam Barshi has the details.
The spokesperson for the Niger State Emergency Management Agency said over 50 more bodies were recovered in the Mokwa area where the disaster occurred. He said 11 injured people were rescued and sent to a nearby hospital. So far, 318 people have been affected and at least 503 households have also been impacted. He added that the search for bodies is ongoing, with local divers and volunteers assisting in the rescue operation. Heavy downpours late Wednesday night wreaked havoc across Mokwa, submerging and sweeping away scores of residential homes, some with occupants still inside. Earlier this week, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency issued forecast warning of thunderstorms and heavy rains in the country's central region, including Niger. More rainfall is expected over the next 24 hours, with localized downpours also predicted in the northern region. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, said on Tuesday that it had intensified efforts to mitigate the impact of seasonal flooding nationwide.
You're still listening to Radio Algeria International, and time now for the international event of the week.
The international event of the week.